If you've got rookie fever, you have come to the right place. This is the Dynasty Vipers. This is Viper Bites, and this is our prospect profile series. And I am Matt Donnelly. And if you're listening to us on Apple, Spotify, or Stitcher, take a second, rate and review us. And as always, if you're listening to us, watching us on the Vipers Network, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and make sure to get those notifications turned on because we are bringing new content daily right now in this fantasy offseason. Let's talk NFL draft. Let's talk about one of my favorite running backs in this year's class, Brian Robinson out of Alabama. Now, let's go back high school kind of time here. Robinson was an elite national running back, a four-star recruit out of Hillcrest High School in Tuscaloosa, rushing for 990 yards on 161 attempts with 18 rushing touchdowns as a senior, while adding 24 receptions, 302 yards, and 2 scores, helping lead his squad to the 6A semifinalists in that senior season. Now, when we look at the measurables, this is a man-child, a man amongst the boys here when it comes to his build. 6'2", 225 pounds. He had that RAS score coming in at 6.58, but that 40-yard dash, 4.53 seconds. Dudes that big ain't supposed to run that fast. Vertical, 30 inches. Broad jump, 119. Now, when we look at everything, we put this all together, he is quite the perplexing prospect here. We know that maybe he wasn't given that opportunity. We know that the running back room in Alabama is just as crowded as that wide receiver room, and you have to wait your turn before you can actually make a name for yourself. Look at some of these names that have come through. We'll talk about them here. The 2017 running back room consisted of New England Patriots running back Damian Harris, Bo Scarborough, Pittsburgh Steelers first-round draft pick Najee Harris, Vegas Raiders first-round draft pick Josh Jacobs. And a dual threat quarterback under center in Jalen Hurts. Even Bearcats running back, who's in this year's draft, Jerome Ford, he was in that room in 2018 and 2019. This all limited the opportunities that Brian Robinson would see in those first few seasons, but still, he had 6.9 yards per carry in that 2017 season and 4.3 yards per carry in 2018. Now, in 2019, Robinson was second in rushing with 96 carries and 441 yards, averaging 4.6 yards per carry. And he also had 5 touchdowns coming in that relief role to Najee Harris, who accumulated 1,224 yards on the ground and 300 more yards in the passing game. Well, he just scored 20 times. Now, in 2020, again, Robinson would have to bide his time sitting behind Najee Harris, who went off to have one of the more monumental type seasons in college football. 251 carries, 1,466 yards, 26 touchdowns. And then in the passing game, he had an additional 43 receptions, 425 yards, and 4 touchdowns. As you can see, there is not a lot of meat left on the bone when we're talking about production for a back in Alabama. Now, Robinson, he did do his part. He had 5.3 yards per carry on 91 attempts, finishing with 483 yards and 6 touchdowns. Now, finally, and maybe this is why I love Robinson, he sat back, he waited his time, and when that door was there for him to open, he kicked that door down in 2021. Robinson, trusting the process, finally paid off for the bruising back, who was given 271 carries, averaging 5 yards per carry, while being responsible for 1,343 yards on the ground and 14 touchdowns. Robinson showed his pass protection and pass catching skills were an asset, adding 35 receptions for 296 yards and 2 scores. Now, here's a nice tidbit. Most missed tackles forced in a season by an Alabama running back since 2014. In 2020, Najee Harris, 71. Derrick Henry back in 2015, 76. Last season, Brian Robinson, 79. So he can make you miss. Let's get that straight right now. Now, we talk about strengths and weaknesses. First, look at the dude. He is like an Adonis there. He is built like you wouldn't believe. Good size, good speed, wide chest. Defenders are going to bounce off of him. Excellent in pass protection. Maybe the most pass protection type ready back in this year's class. Now, for his size, he's got some quick feet. He's got those dancer's feet for a big guy. He breaks tackles. He runs hard downhill. And when we look at this, we'll go back to the Senior Bowl, pass protection. I'm going back to this here. I remember in the Senior Bowl, him burying dudes. Yes, Channing Tittle, I am looking right at you. Now, weaknesses, age. I know he's like 25 or 26. Okay, he's only 23. Same age as DeAndre Swift, Antonio Gibson, and J.K. Dobbins. He's got a little bit of an upright style there, kind of loses that pad level, and sometimes there's a little bit of indecisiveness between the tackles, especially if the hole isn't there right away. But what is there right away? It is the 2022 Fantasy Points NFL Prospect Guide. Now, where else can you find 200 plus rookie profiles courtesy of NFL Films' Greg Cassell? You get Wes Huber in there, Joe Dolan, Graham Barfield, Scott Barrett, John Hansen, all these guys coming at you with some film analysis, strengths, weaknesses, NFL transition for these players, measurables, combine results, and of course, there's going to be rankings, rookie rankings, Davy rankings, every kind of ranking, it is there. And if you want another deal thrown on top of it, head to fantasypoints.com, use promo code VIPERS22 and get 10% off that subscription today to that website, one of the best websites out there for your fantasy football information. Now let's get back to Brian Robinson. Think of a bigger version of Chris Carson, a player who at the end of the day is going to go out there, be productive, and get the job done. And he's going to put a lot of dudes in the cold tub after each and every game. For a big man, he's got quick feet. He's got a solid jump cut that will allow him to bounce the play to the outside when needed. And if Robinson can become more decisive between the tackles, lower that pad level, and hit that hole hard, he will be a consistent 4 yards per carry kind of guy in the National Football League. And he will carry dudes an extra 3-4 yards each and every time he touches the ball. And at the end of the day, he'll put in a solid day's work. And just like that, hey, us over here at the Vipers Network, we pride ourselves in putting in a solid day's work. So when news breaks, when trades go down, when signings happens, we are here for you to break it all down and what it means for fantasy football. So make sure to tune in because we got more content coming your way.